You can hear it right now. Every word, the skipper, the professor, the millionaire and his wife. You know that song better than your own phone number, but the 7 people who brought those characters to life? That's a different story. 6 of them have left us. One by one, across 3 decades, the Castaways disappeared for real. The last one standing is 92 years old, living in New York City. Every week she walks into a 2nd grade classroom to teach children how to read. No cameras, no audience. Just her and a room full of kids who have no idea she was once the most glamorous woman on television. Hit subscribe, because one member of this cast did something that rewrote the most recognizable opening in sitcom history. A clause in his contract used exactly once for someone else. Nobody knew for almost 30 years. His name is on this show. His story comes last. Gilligan's Island ran 3 seasons on CBS, 1964 to 67, 98 episodes. It was cancelled without warning. The network needed the slot for a western they'd nearly killed themselves. The creator had to call each cast member by phone. Some of them had just bought houses near the studio. That should have been the end. Instead, the show entered syndication in the 70s and never came out. Children who hadn't been born when the pilot aired grew up on that island. 3 seasons turned into 6 decades of American television. The 7 actors who made it possible were paid for 3 years of work. The reruns kept playing. The money went somewhere else. We begin with the woman who kept the biggest secret on set. Not about the show, about herself. She told everyone she was born in 1912. The truth was 1900. 12 years erased, carried through an entire career, revealed only after she was gone, exactly the way she planned it. This is Gilligan's Island, then and now. Number 7, Natalie Schafer. Here's how far she took it. Her contract had clauses no one else's did. Certain camera angles, forbidden. Certain physical movements, restricted. The crew followed the rules without asking questions. They didn't need to ask. The answer was hiding in a birth year she'd been lying about since Broadway. Schafer had been working since the late 1920s. 17 plays on Broadway. Roles in films where she stood in drawing rooms and held cocktail glasses like she'd been born with one in her hand. Straight-backed, pearl-strung, never a hair out of place. Every director saw the same woman. What none of them realized was that, by the time she reached the island, the character and the actress had quietly merged. She'd invested in Beverly Hills real estate when it was still affordable, and built herself a real fortune. The woman CBS hired to play a millionaire's wife had already become one, and she never planned to stay on that island. When Sherwood Schwartz offered her the pilot, she said yes for one reason. The shoot was in Hawaii, a free trip. She packed for a vacation, not a career. The show got picked up. She stayed. For 3 seasons, Schafer brought her own pearls, her own comic instincts, her own careful choreography to Lovey Howell. And behind every perfectly composed shot, those contract clauses made sure the lens stayed exactly where she needed it. Natalie Schafer left us on April 10th, 1991. She was 90 years old. She had no children. A large part of her estate went to her dogs, and to an actor's home in New York, where a wing was later renamed in her honor. She spent a career making sure nobody could do the math, and when the math finally surfaced, she wasn't there to hear it. That was the whole point. But of the 7 people on that island, one of them had a voice you've been hearing your entire life. Not from this show, from somewhere else. You had no idea it was him. We'll get there. Number 6. His story starts a long way from any soundstage. March 4th, 1945. 3 bombers fly low over the Philippines. Strafing run. Japanese positions on the ground. The flak finds all 3. 1 plane drops. Then another. Then the 3rd. Russell Johnson's. He's the bombardier, 20 years old. Both ankles shatter on impact. He's in the water now. A narrow strait between Zamboanga and the island of Basilan, a few miles of open sea. Through the salt and the smoke, he can see them. Japanese boats, pushing out from shore, heading for the wreckage. Then a sound overhead. American planes. Cover fire. The boats turn back. An hour later, a rescue crew pulls him out of the water. Russell Johnson flew 44 combat missions in the Pacific. He earned a Purple Heart, a Bronze Star, an Air Medal. He came home, used the GI Bill to pay for acting school, and started getting work. Westerns mostly, then science fiction. 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone, both about time travel. In one, he tried to prevent the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Then came The Island. When he auditioned for Gilligan's Island, the producers asked him to take off his shirt. He refused. got the part anyway. He made the producer promise one thing. Every scientific statement the professor made on screen had to be accurate. From 64 to 67, Johnson played the man who could build a radio out of coconuts but couldn't patch a hole in a boat. The professor became a template. You can draw a straight line from Roy Hinkley to MacGyver. Russell Johnson left us on January 16, 2014. He was 89, and here is the detail that stays with you. He never told his castmates about the war. Not during filming, not during the reunion movies, not in the decades after. They found out at his funeral. A man who was shot out of the sky over a real island spent 3 years pretending to be stranded on a fake one, and never once mentioned it. Remember that voice? The one you've been hearing your whole life? Number 5. And a dressing room door that Marilyn Monroe opened for a reason nobody expected. You know, Mr. Magoo. The squinting, stumbling cartoon character who's been on American screens since 1949. You know the voice. Gravelly, exasperated, completely lovable. You've heard it in commercials, specials, Saturday morning reruns. That voice belonged to Jim Backus, same man who played Thurston Howell III on the island. Same man who stood next to James Dean in Rebel without a cause and played his father. Same decade. Radio, Broadway, animation, film, television. Backus worked in all 5, sometimes in the same week, 1952. He's on the set of Don't Bother to Knock, filming alongside Marilyn Monroe. One evening after a take, Monroe pulls him aside. That voice, the breathless one, the one the whole world already knew. It asks him to come to her dressing room, urgently. His curiosity wins, he goes. She closes the door, and the most famous woman in Hollywood drops every trace of the act. Like an excited child, she looks at him and says, "Do Mr. Magoo." He did. Backus was born in Cleveland in 1913, trained at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and by the time Gilligan's Island came along, he had a career most actors would retire on. That career saved him. While his castmates struggled with typecasting after the island, Backus kept booking. Guest roles, voice work, features. The white sailor hat stuck to the others, not to him. In his later years, his health declined. Jim Backus left us on July 3, 1989. He was 76, the first of the 7 castaways to go. His last appearance on camera was a popcorn commercial. Reunited one final time with Natalie Schafer, both back in character as the Howells. 2 old friends, playing the parts that made them famous, one more time. Not a bad curtain call for a kid from Cleveland. But if Backus escaped the weight of the island, the next castaway walked straight into something else. A debate that started on set in 1964 and still hasn't been settled. 1959. A young woman steps onto a stage in Reno, Nevada. Swimsuit, sash, spotlight, Miss Nevada. Her name was Dawn Wells. Within 5 years, she'd moved to Los Angeles, picked up guest spots on a handful of shows, and landed a part on a new CBS sitcom about 7 strangers stranded on an island. She was cast as Mary Ann Summers, the wholesome farm girl, the girl next door, the one who didn't get a title in the theme song. That last part mattered more than anyone realized at the time. In the show's first season, the opening credits named 5 of the 7 castaways: Gilligan, the skipper, the millionaire and his wife, the movie star. After that, just 2 words. The rest, Dawn Wells and Russell Johnson, reduced to an afterthought. Not because they didn't matter, because of a contract clause that had nothing to do with either of them. How that changed, and who changed it, that's a story that comes later. And yet something happened that nobody predicted. Ginger or Mary Ann. It started in break rooms and barbershops while the show was still on the air. Somebody would say a name. Somebody else would shake their head. The glamour versus the warmth. The movie star versus the girl you'd actually want to be stuck on that island with. It crossed generations. 50 years later, strangers still brought it up at parties. You already know which side you're on. Wells leaned into it. In 2014, she published a book called What Would Mary Ann Do? Part memoir, part guide to decency. Dawn Wells left us on December 30th, 2020. She was 82, the most recent of the castaways to go. And of the 7 people who stepped onto that island, she may have been the one audiences felt they actually knew. Number 3. She's the reason this video exists in present tense. The only one of the 7 still here. 92 years old. And her story with this show is more complicated than any plotline Sherwood Schwartz ever wrote. A Monday morning, 2026. a public school on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. A woman walks in, white hair, straight posture, 92 years old. She signs the volunteer sheet the way she's signed it every week for years, sits down with a circle of 7-year-olds, opens a book, and reads. None of them know who she is. The woman reading to their class once won a Golden Globe, trained at the Actors Studio under Lee Strasberg, and had a film career before she ever stepped onto a soundstage lagoon. Born February 11th, 1934, Tina Louise is 92 today. Before The Island, she was already a star. Broadway first, Lyle Abner, 1956. Then a film debut in God's Little Acre, 1958. A Golden Globe for New Star of the Year. A career moving in exactly the direction she'd chosen. Then CBS called. The casting office told her the show would be built around her character. A glamorous movie star stranded on a desert island. A friend advised her to take it. It would only last 6 months. She arrived on set to find 7 equally weighted characters, a broad ensemble comedy, and a role nothing like what she'd been promised. That disconnect shaped everything that followed. Her contract included a last billing clause, negotiated before she understood what the show actually was. It was that clause, carried forward from a casting process built on miscommunication, that left 2 of her castmates unnamed for the entire first season. She didn't know at the time how far one of them would go to fix it. When the show ended, Louise walked away. She was the only castaway who refused every reunion film. Ginger was recast each time. She returned to the big screen, took a role in The Stepford Wives, appeared on Dallas, raised a daughter who became a novelist and screenwriter, and spent decades building a life outside the pull of a single part. In 2020, she said the thing no one expected. She loved the role, especially after the writers started writing for her character. In 2024, she published a childhood memoir, Sunday. And now, at 92, she is the last one, the last of the 7. The woman who spent a career reaching beyond one television role found her most meaningful work in a place where nobody recognizes her at all. Number 2. His castmates called him the warmest person on the set. In a children's hospital in Los Angeles, he proved it, showing up not as an actor playing a part, but as the part itself. A hallway, a children's hospital, Los Angeles, sometime in the late 1970s. A door opens. A big man fills the frame, white captain's hat, blue shirt. The kids in the ward recognize him before he says a word. He's not here as Alan Hale Jr., he's here as the skipper. According to Sherwood Schwartz, Hale did this regularly, not for publicity, not for a photo opportunity. He just showed up, in costume, in character, because it made sick children laugh. He understood something most actors didn't. To those kids, the skipper was real. And if the skipper was real, maybe the island was real. And if the island was real, maybe everything was going to be okay. Alan Hale McCahan was born in Los Angeles in 1921. His father was the original Alan Hale, a character actor with over 200 screen credits, including work alongside Errol Flynn. Junior looked exactly like him. Same build, same face, same instinct for warmth on camera. Over 55 years, Hale racked up more than 200 screen credits of his own. Westerns before The Island, guest roles after. He opened a restaurant on Los Angeles Restaurant Row, Alan Hale's Lobster Barrel. The skipper behind the hostess stand, greeting regulars. He reprised the role in all 3 reunion films, both animated series and even a couple of unrelated sitcoms that simply wanted the skipper to walk through the door one more time. He wore the captain's hat like it was always his. Off-screen, his closest friend was the man who played his little buddy. Hale and Bob Denver stayed close for the rest of Hale's life, doing appearances together, guest starring on each other's shows, showing up at events side by side. Their chemistry wasn't manufactured. Denver put it simply. In many ways, he was the skipper. Alan Hale Jr. left us on January 2nd, 1990. He was 68 years old. The skipper followed the millionaire by just 6 months. And now, number 1, the little buddy. The man who named this island. And what he did with the one piece of leverage he had, before the hat, before the island, before any of it. A young man delivers mail in Pacific Palisades, morning route, same houses every day, same dogs, same small talk at the door. He has a degree in political science from Loyola. He teaches math and history at a Catholic elementary school when he isn't carrying envelopes. This is his life. Acting is not part of the plan. Then a college speech teacher forces him to audition for a stage production. He doesn't want to go. He goes. He gets the part. A nervous young sailor. Something clicks. Robert Osborne Denver was born in New Rochelle, New York, on January 9, 1935. By 1959, the mailman had become Maynard G. Krebs, television's first beatnik on the many loves of Dobie Gillis. 4 seasons. A character so original that Hanna-Barbera later used him as the template for a certain cartoon dog's best friend. Nobody saw that coming. When Sherwood Schwartz was putting together Gilligan's Island, his first choice was Jerry Van Dyke. Van Dyke turned it down. He told Schwartz the show would never work. Denver got the call instead. From the first episode, it was clear. The show belonged to him. Not because he demanded it. His physical comedy. Stumbling, guileless, perfectly timed. It made the island feel alive. The skipper had the authority. The professor had the brains. Gilligan had the soul. And then there was the thing nobody knew about. In the first season, 2 castmates weren't named in the opening credits: Russell Johnson and Dawn Wells. The theme song ended with just 2 words: the rest. A contract clause had pushed them out. It had nothing to do with either of them, and everything to do with an agreement made before anyone understood what the show would become. Denver had a clause of his own. It allowed him to place his credit anywhere in the sequence. First, last, anywhere he wanted, he told the studio. Put their names in the song, or take mine out. The studio added them. For seasons 2 and 3, the theme was re-recorded. The Professor and Mary Ann, 2 names that exist in that song because one man decided his billing mattered less than his friend's visibility. He never mentioned it publicly. Not during the show, not during the reunion films, not for 3 decades. It came out in a 1995 interview. By then, most people had sung along 1,000 times without ever wondering why the lyrics changed. After The Island, Denver never escaped the white hat. He starred in The Good Guys, then Dusty's Trail, vehicles built to echo Gilligan. He never fought it. He liked making people laugh. He liked that children still recognized him decades later. His best friend was the man in the captain's hat. When Alan Hale left us in '90, Denver lost his skipper. He never quite replaced him. Bob Denver left us on September 2nd, 2005. He was 70 years old. The cause widely reported at the time was heart failure. It was inaccurate. He passed from complications following surgery. The mailman who became a beatnik. The beatnik who became a castaway. And the castaway who made sure no one else on that island was ever called the rest again. 7 castaways, 1 island, 62 years. Natalie Schafer came for a free trip to Hawaii. She stayed for the legacy. Russell Johnson survived a real island before he ever set foot on a fake one. He never needed anyone to know. Jim Backus worked in 5 mediums, mastered all of them, and still got his biggest laugh in a dressing room from Marilyn Monroe. Dawn Wells was Miss Nevada, then Mary Ann. Then the castaway audiences felt they actually knew. She carried that warmth everywhere she went. Alan Hale Jr. showed up to children's hospitals in a captain's hat. That tells you everything. And Bob Denver, the star who could have put his name anywhere, he put theirs instead. 7 people stepped onto a soundstage lagoon in 1964. They thought they were making a simple sitcom, something to fill a time slot for a season, maybe 2. They made something permanent instead. The show outlived its cancellation, outlived its critics, outlived the network that pulled the plug. Somewhere right now, on some screen, in some house, those 98 episodes are still playing. For someone who has never seen them before. Of the 7, only Tina Louise remains, 92 years old. Still in New York, still walking through those school doors every week. She spent decades building a life beyond the island, but the island kept playing, kept reaching new audiences, kept connecting those 7 faces to millions of living rooms, long after the cameras stopped. Gilligan's Island was never really about being stranded. It was about 7 people, stuck together, making the best of what they had. And maybe that's why it never stopped playing, because that's what we do. If any of these stories stayed with you. A soldier who never mentioned the war, a star who gave away his credit, a woman who found her best role at 92. Share this video with someone who grew up on that island, because a show about 7 people who couldn't get home somehow found its way into every home in America. And 62 years later, it's still there. This was Gilligan's Island, then and now.